Fake fruit! Fake! Fake! Fake grapefruits! Fake! Liar! You liar!
All right, everyone. Welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. Prepare for more, shall we say, prepared mind interference from internet, YouTube, Yahoo, etc., etc., etc. And we've got Uman in the background in a limited capacity, so he may or may not show up in the comments, questions, thoughts, but look out. The man with the blue wrench, he's always around. Get your questions in all caps, please, just in case he gets diverted to another meeting room. But have no fear, we're all here. Folks, it is getting nasty out there. The left cannot help it. They need their violence. They need it. They need their violence. So you never know. You never, ever know when or where or who or how. That's why you must always be prepared up here. I'm going to tell you right now why, right? Well, first off, we need food and water, shelter, clothing, medicine, right? Oh, and one of these things, means of self-preservation for a lot of different reasons. In this case, this story, I'm going to say, well, the school shooter in Georgia, Colt Gray, his picture is released. He looks kind of feminine to me for a guy, but no claim of him being a tranny yet or wanting to be a tranny, but they have revealed what is being called a disturbing obsession with the Parkland school shooting / massacre, mass murder by that left-wing moron. And it just appears to me that these kids in school today, if they're not independent, free-minded, free thinkers, they're brainwashed left-wing psychopaths. Folks, we never know where it's going to come from. Period. Now, I've got some more fantastic, wild, crazy, freaking news for you. Right? This has been going around days and days and days now. In fact, I think it was Orlando. My good friend Orlando up north, up in New England. He was the first one to say, John, look into this biker gangs interested in going to Aurora, Colorado to deal with these Venezuelan gangs that are taking over. They're going door to door and kicking people out, and they're going door to door and saying, give us your money. Rent is due. Rent meaning protection money from the gang. Charlotte, that's Uman. He's making sure the systems are working. He's undercover, deep undercover, folks. He's even wearing a disguise right now, so no one can recognize him. And he looks like he's eating a bologna sandwich. I don't know. Anyways, let's back to this gang thing. And we're like, okay, it's the Hells Angels. They're coming, right? Right. Well, get this, folks. A serious, hardcore message has now been delivered. An official hardcore message has been delivered to the gangs of Aurora, Colorado from Venezuela. And it is an American gang member, folks. And he says, quote, you want to see what gang violence is? We invented gang violence. Now, is this guy the real deal? He looks like it. He sounds like it. Is he just talking trash? Well, apparently he pulled up outside the apartment complexes and filmed his video. The video is going viral. The violence is out there, folks. People on all sides have had enough. Right? Good people, good tax-paying people. That old gang called the Tea Party, those people are pissed off, right? Now, we're all kind of pissed off because we have these school shooters, we have foreign gangs, and also we have this gang called the Department of Justice. But before I get to them, make sure you get your questions into the comment section, all caps, so we can get them laid out for your section. I'm going to do my 30-minute monologue followed by you, and your questions, comments, thoughts, predictions, observations, etc., etc., etc. But all I can say today, and I've been saying it all day long, is well. Chickens come home to roost. Now, in this case, American gang member, right? Well, he's a white guy and he's a gang member. He must be a white supremacist Nazi, right? I don't know. Don't know. But whether it's Hells Angels, the Mongols, red and white, or any outlaw gang, we just might see some fighting erupt. Now, the deal is if this truly is an American gang, an outlaw gang, whether biker or not, they might decide to get violent, folks. We're going to hear about it, of course. Of course, you know, they're going to blame Trump. Don't worry about that. It's in the bag. Everything's Trump's fault. But if the outlaw American gangs, if they want to have a fight, folks, they're going to fight on their own timelines, their own terms, and when it suits them. So we never know. Always be ready and get ready for the unexpected, because I expect that. Now, I know I'm going really fast. I'm extremely excited today. I had to come into Uman's garage. He's out of the garage, so of course I had to do the show from the garage today. There's the famous "It's Never Gonna Run Again" El Camino behind me. Anyways, the government gang. So we've got the children gang, you've got outlaw gangs, you've got Venezuelan gangs, and you got the Department of Justice gang. Well, their Southern District from New York branch of their gang, and they are outlaws as well, folks, because they're not operating within the law. Their chief, Nick Bias. That's whether I misspelled or mispronounced his name, I don't care. Nick Bias, Biase. Look him up. He got caught. That's right, folks. He got caught in an undercover video. Yeah. Undercover video. Can you believe this? Right? Basically, it's a sting operation. And it's proving election interference by Democrats and the Department of Justice, folks. Get this. Outlaws, the government, Washington, D.C., the Department of Justice, the Southern District of New York, they're all crooks, criminals, thieves, and scum. Right? This chief, he was caught in a video by, well, an undercover person. And what did he admit? That the Trump indictments are actually politically motivated. That's right. He expressed his happiness with his participation in a conspiracy. This is true, folks. He admitted, he incriminated himself. He's provided evidence that they had a plot to make Trump a, quote, convicted felon, and, quote, they wanted it to, quote, affect his candidacy. That is election interference, folks. Election interference. But no. He actually already has run to the cameras. No. Those aren't my true views. He was just trying to impress the honeypot. Well, he's a lying sack of shit, just like Biden and the rest of them, folks. His statements are on video. He admitted to this plot, this conspiracy to interfere with and make Trump look bad for the purposes of him losing the election. Coming out afterwards and saying, no, I was just trying to impress the honeypot. Well, sorry, fruitcake. Too bad. Too bad, so sad. You revealed yourself as much as Zark Zuckerberg admitted to election interference in 2020 and conspiracy to, shall we say, interfere with free speech, the First Amendment, because he was working with government, folks, at the behest of government. Once again, we ought to be able to hold government officials accountable when they violate our rights. Not at the ballot box. Fuck the ballot box. That's how they get into office. They need to go out of office in an orange jumpsuit wearing bracelets and ankle cuffs when they violate our rights. That's how I feel about it, folks. It's coming. It is coming. Now, I want you to think about this. Putin today came out and said he supports Donald Trump for U.S. president. If that happened, if Putin said that, would the left wing say, oh, no, Trump isn't Putin. No, actually, they would say Trump is a Russian asset. Well, this is interesting. This is very interesting. Today, Vladimir Putin came out and he said this. Here's the quote. She has such an expressive and contagious laughter. That's what Putin said about Camel Toes Harris. He says he supports a Kamala Harris candidacy for the U.S. presidential election. That's it. Kamala is a Russian asset if Putin supports her candidacy, right? She needs to be arrested. She needs to be charged with her crimes. Where's the media? Where is the media? Why isn't she arrested, right? Because Putin says she has such an expressive and contagious laughter. You know, actually, he's being facetious. Absolutely. He probably wanted to say she has such a disgusting, filthy, dirty laughter, because that's what she's got. She's a cackling witch. But Putin is chiding her and making fun of her. And I'm glad he is, because I can't stand that bitch. But anyways, Kamala must be a Russian asset if Putin likes her. Or is Putin just trying to BJ? Oh, it's wild, folks. The gangs are out. There's some more gangs that we didn't discuss yet. There are some more gangs that you and I need to discuss. Let's see, we discussed American gangs, outlaw biker gangs, Venezuelan gangs, Department of Justice, government gangs, the youth gangs. How about the LGBTQIAP plus minor attracted pedophile gangs? Instead of minor attracted persons, why not just call them minor attracted pedophiles? Because that's what they are. If you're attracted to minors, you're a fucking pedophile. So, an article came out today. And what did it have to do with? The concept of coexistence and forgiveness. Remember those bumper stickers? And I always hated them. It said coexist. And it had the Muslim symbol for the C. And it had for the T in coexist, a Christian cross. And it had all kinds of different little religious shall we say, symbols to make the words coexist. Coexist. Well, how did that work out for us? Are we coexisting with Islam? Are we coexisting with LGBTQIA plus people? Are we coexisting with the left? Are we coexisting with the fruitcakes and the ding-dongs and the dingbats and the anti-Americans and the communists? No. And forgiveness, forget it. The left cannot forgive America for having slaves. Apparently, after 100 years, they still can't let it go. I think 97 or 98% of the American population did not own slaves. But we're all supposed to be sorry and feel bad and have to give money away to people who weren't slaves and they didn't grow up as slaves and their parents were slaves and their grandparents were slaves and their great-grandparents and their great-great-grandparents. You got to go back 6 or 7 generations to get there. These people are idiots, folks. There is no coexistence. There is no forgiveness. It has ended. And wokeism has helped put the final nails in the coffin. So I want to say this, and I need to put the question to you guys, because it's, we get prepared, me and you. For the 10-mile radius around us, we're prepared for everyone else on the planet, are we not? We are prepared for their bad activity, right? These school shooters, I'm prepared. These religious wackos, I'm prepared. these leftist ding-dongs and BLM and the rest of them, I'm prepared. But get this, and I need to ask this question. If the left, if all of these lunatic left violent terrorist cocksuckers, if they don't have to tolerate others, why should I? If Muslims don't have to tolerate others, all these jihad Joes, why should I? Why should tax-paying American patriots tolerate others? They insult us, they attack us, they murder us, they rape us, they steal our property, they sell drugs, they human traffic all of us. Why should we tolerate them? Why should you tolerate them? They don't respect, tolerate, forgive our behavior, our thoughts, and all we do is go to work and pay taxes. It's just important, I think, to understand that the war is starting, folks. It's moving into a violent place. I have been expecting and waiting for this since I was age 14. I never thought it'd be this crazy and wild. I thought the violence would have started years and years ago with American, shall we say, patriots saying, you know what, we've had enough already. But after reading the Declaration of Independence, there's a couple lines in there that are really important. And then I learned, Benjamin Franklin spent his entire life complaining and suffering with the rest of colonial America before they finally acted in 1776. Oh, I got to tell you, folks. I got to tell you. Declaration of Independence. Ah, crud. One moment, please. All righty. Page 59. Let's go to page 59. Here's the line, right? Let the security rights go to I got to tell you. Okay, here it is, folks. Prudence indeed will dictate the government's long established should not be changed for light and transient causes. In other words, we don't revolt for just any other reason, any little small transgression by the Department of Justice gang or the FBI or the CIA gangs or the Secret Service gangs that tried murdering President Trump, right? And accordingly, all experience hath shewn that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the to which they are accustomed. Meaning we've kind of gotten used to what's going on and we've been forgiving, tolerant, you and I, America, but there comes a point when it's too much. And I think we are getting there. Too much indeed. And thankfully we have mass media that we share, the Prepared Mind Network. All of the Prepared Mind Networks, the rsyndicate.com. You can go and check out other Patriot networks. We're all helping each other read. That's why I say share the internet address. Wake up other people, because there will be violence coming, and it is coming towards us. And while, we've been very polite and kind and tolerant while being abused, there will come a time when it ends, when we will abolish a form of government because it's not doing up. In fact, to the contrary, it's doing everything it can to offend our good senses and our sensibilities to the point where we can no longer tolerate it. And as discussed the other day, there are a bunch of old men, whether they're in gangs now, biker gangs, outlaw gangs, whether they're veterans, old and young, they're well-trained, and they are less likely to be tolerant. So if gangs are going to show up in Aurora, Colorado, and kick the ever-loving shit out of these Venezuelan douchebags, expect there to be all kinds of political, media, and other forms of retaliation and attempts to stop you and me, us from protecting ourselves. It is one hell of a show, folks. I hope you've got a front row seat, lots of popcorn and ammunition. It's going to get stupid. It really is. I have no doubts. No doubts. And while we're talking about gangs, folks, we talked about the Aurora, Colorado takeover. We talked about Chicago having apartments raided by Venezuelan gangs. And now we have Venezuelan gang havoc in Texas. The Dallas police have confirmed that the same gang, the Venezuelan gang, which is kind of like an MS-13 type gang, it is a national gang. Very large, pretty well organized, but I think they made a mistake thinking that Americans are just going to take their shit. But yeah, the Dallas police have confirmed that the gang is now in Texas causing trouble. They're probably going to do the same thing. I wonder what's going to happen. Remember, big cities like Dallas, Fort Worth, Houston, San Antonio, they tend to lean to the blue, to the Democrat side. Even in Texas, yeah, and even in Florida. The big cities in Florida tend to be blue, like Miami and Tampa. But all around, folks, it's red, blood red, everywhere around them. So we're going to find out. It looks like the Venezuelan gangs. Now, these gangs, folks, understand and remember this. The borders are Kamala, Camel Toes, Kamila is absolutely 100% responsible for all of these gangs that are here. Venezuela literally released their prisoners from their gangs, sent them out of the country and said, don't ever come back. Go to America. And our friends in the northern end of South America, Central America, and Mexico, all of our fine government friends in those countries gave bus rides, plane rides, train rides, cattle car rides to these illegal criminals to get them through their country and into ours. Fuck Mexico. And fuck the rest of them for helping them out. They had to get over the Panama Canal somehow, folks. Somehow they had to get over the Panama Canal. Unless it was that big bridge on the West Coast side. Anyways, they're here. Kamala, she let in MS-13. She let in the Venezuelan gang. She let in Jihad Joe from Pakistan, the Middle East, Northern Africa, Eastern Africa. They're here, folks. Thank you, Kamala Harris, for inviting all of these gangs into our great nation. What are you going to do about it? You tell me, what are you going to do about it? Tell you what I'm going to do about it. Let me tell you what I'm going to do. I want everyone to understand what actions I'm going to take. I have my self-defense tools. I own them by right. It's called the Second Amendment. I'm speaking now because of the First Amendment, telling the government, you can't stop me and you can't take my guns. I have a right under law. I have a right under statute in Florida as well. The law being from the Almighty, statute being from the government. They recognize my rights, and I have a right to self-defense, my personal body and the bodies of others, as well as the right to protect the state in which I live. If the police will not do their jobs, I will do it in their absence. I'm not going to do their job for them. I will make sure that crime does not kill myself, my family, my loved ones, my community, my neighbors, etc. Period. I will call the law enforcement in the area and say, we have gang activity. Are you going to take care of this? If the answer is no, or I'm told I'm on my own, I'll say, thank you. I am on my own. We are on our own, and we'll take care of business ourselves. Thank you very much. I'm telling you, folks. I'm telling you. There's also this other gang. They're the black-robed gang. That's right. Judges like Engoron the Moron and Tanya Chutkin, who's got a mouthful of choppers that would probably, make Kamala Harris jealous. Right? And then we have, who's that other Merkin or whatever? Too many of these judges. They're a gang. And so Tanya Chutkin today, she came out. She is pissed about the SCOTUS, Supreme Court of the United States, immunity ruling. She doesn't like it, and she's going to fight against it. Folks, we have lawlessness, outlaws pretending to be the law, like fat-ass Fannie Willis and that fat bastard up in New York City, Alvin Bragg, and these judges, Chutkin and Ungaran. And then you got Jack Smith. Jack Smith looks like he has a permanent cat turd stuck under his nose. I hate that guy. He's a jackass. And just fuck these people, folks. We are surrounded by lawless gangs. Some have badges, and others think they have badges. It's incredible, folks. It's incredible. Now, what's fascinating though is in New York City. I found this fascinating. The mayor there, Eric Adams, who said he's a sanctuary city, and then he's like, "That's too many illegals. We can't take them. Oh, we aren't prepared for this." And then he's like, "Oh, wait, we'll just give everyone else's money to them." I don't know how many billions of dollars now have been spent on these illegals. And by the way, I believe 3/4 of all arrests in New York City are now illegal aliens committing criminal activity. But be that as it may, with all the criminal activity going on in New York City, guess who the FBI has raided? 3 senior aides, and of course, very close friends of Democrat Mayor Eric Adams, have had their homes raided. He's been on the hot seat, folks. What is he doing wrong? He's a Democrat. He's in the state of New York, and he's the mayor of New York City. What has this son of a bitch done? What has he done? Right? The New York Police Department commissioner and the police chief have now had their homes raided, as well as the mayor's 3 top aides. What is going on in New York City, folks? We know it's corrupt. All these fucking cities are corrupt. Seattle, Portland, San Francisco, Sacramento, Los Angeles, Dallas, San Antonio, Chicago, Colorado, Aurora, Colorado. Every capital city, every major city out there is full of corruption and shit. But yeah, this is interesting that New York Adams, why isn't the FBI raiding the mayor of St. Louis and her cabinet and her friends and her chief of police? Why aren't they going after her? She is one of the most corrupt pieces of shit on the planet, if it's the one I'm thinking of. It's getting stupid, folks. You know what? I mean, maybe Eric Adams was trying to be lawful and obey the law. And they're like, no, we won't have any of that from a Democrat. You have to be lawless to be with us. To be one of us, you've got to break the law on a constant and regular basis. Crazy shit, folks. I tell you what, we're right on target. We see what's happening. The gangs are out. That's right, the Black Robe Gang, the judges, the Venezuelan gangs. MS-13's been remarkably quiet. I wonder why. All of the illegals, all of the radical jihad Joes, BLM, Antifa, the LGBTQIA big murder crowd, the crazy-ass Utes, they're all gangs. And they want to say that you, as a veteran, a taxpayer, even a parent, you're domestic terrorists, while these people are the ones committing all the crimes. Let's see what you want to talk about, shall we? Get your questions in, all caps below. Ooman is on the case, and we'll get him rolling too. Thanks, folks. Let's do it. Yes, yes, and yes. I see Chin Music has said something to make me laugh. Dude, I hope you're being safe down there near Eagles Pass. It's not a good place. But yeah, the gangs are getting active up here. And I guess maybe the rest of the country is going to see the problems. Every one of those people, well, except for the ones that were flown over the top of you, Chin, had to be, go through your town. All right, Mr. Uman, who wants to step up first? Do you want to take a whack at this from your chair? And it is Chin Music. And he has this to say to the gangs of the world, whether they pretend to be lawful or they're honest about it and they're just there to thieve from you. He says, knock on my door for the rent and I'll show you my magazine subscriptions. I think that's great. Last night I took out my magazine subscriptions and there's a lot of them. I went and looked. I thought, I got some high capacity, big volume, good story magazines. And, a combat load is nothing to laugh at, folks. A combat load is nothing to laugh at. 300 rounds is heavy, but that'll pay the rent. Thank you, Mr. Chin Music. But of course, please be careful. Make sure you keep the gang members calm. Tell them, I'll be right back with my wallet. And then give them your magazine subscriptions. All right, Mr. Uman, who wants to step up next? Who's got something to say? And it's Mr. Diving Frog. And he says, John, why do I need a permit from a government to defend myself or anything or anyone else? Well, see, the government likes to pretend like you have, what do they want to call it? Privileges. Privileges. Servants have privileges. Subjects have privileges. Peasants have privileges. Do they not? Well, because their masters can take it away. Anytime someone can take away what you have nothing more than a privilege. So the President of the United States serves for 4 or 8 years, and when that time is up, they give back Air Force One, they vacate the White House. It was a mere privilege. They don't own it. They have the privilege of working for us, you and me. That's a privilege. It's not a right. Their authority is temporary and granted only if they serve us and obey their oaths. Of course, they don't think that. They think that everything we have is by permission and privilege. Government has assumed authority over your automobiles, saying that, well, to go down the road is driving, it's commerce. Commerce is driving, driving is commerce. Traveling and moving your property, i.e. car, truck, if you're not operating in a commercial capacity, is not driving. Driving is what cabbies do. Cab driver. You, my friends, are traveling in a non-commercial capacity, but the government long ago decided everyone who gets behind the wheel of an automobile is a cabbie and is driving for profit. So they proclaimed everyone must have a driver's license, aka permit, from the government in order to go out with your property on the road. This is nothing new for government, folks, even our American government. So when it comes to guns, they think they have the right to tell us what to do with guns. Sorry, that's not the case. The Second Amendment is quite clear, where it says the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. The government has decided, though, that it needs to protect us from ourselves and one another. So it is said, look, you're not allowed to just take your gun out. That scares people. That's called brandishing a weapon. Unless you really need to use that gun to protect yourself, you're not allowed to pull it out because it's a threat. Funny. The government has no problem. If you don't obey them quickly enough, they got a gun on your ass, don't they? Finger on the trigger, they're ready to blow your ass away. That's not brandishing. That's them protecting themselves from a perceived threat. But you cannot do that unless you have a perceived threat that is both, going to cause great bodily harm and injury or death. The government likes to pretend like it can tell us all what to do. It really doesn't have the authority it says it does, but like people who say, I'm a sovereign of this country, I'm a natural born human being, I have a right to be here, and I don't need a driver's license because I'm traveling upon the common way. That's what roads are, the common way, public property, the common way. They'll arrest your ass. So when it comes to self-preservation, they always say it's better to be tried by 12 than carried by 6 to your grave. And so people discover they get tried by 12, then they go to jail for doing nothing more than acting in self-defense or in the defense of others, exercising a God-given right to preserving our own lives. But the Supreme Court, on multiple occasions now, has ruled that not only do we have the right to own a gun, we have a right to carry those guns. We have a right to protect ourselves and protect others and to protect the state. And that a well-regulated militia doesn't mean the armed services. The militia is every able-bodied man and woman who is capable of defending the state. And to be regulated is not government telling us what to do and how to do it and when to do it and where to do it, etc. But to be regulated is well practiced. Well practiced. Right? Regular practice, well regulated. Well trained, regulated. But understand that some governments in the country are going to be more amenable to you defending yourself, like we are here in Florida. Someone comes through your door, you just blow them right back out the door what they came through. Other states, not so much. Cities, of course, those blue cities we discussed earlier, they tend to be a little bit liberal. They tend to think they have authority and that they can pass ordinances. A city ordinance is not more important than the Constitution, right? There's this hierarchy of law. And I want to go over this, but remember, this is not legal advice. This is the way I see things based on logic, reason, common sense, critical thinking, history, court cases, common law, the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and the way I fucking see things. Goes God, man. Man creates Constitution. Constitution creates government. State governments have their own constitution, and under them are city, and they don't have constitutions. You have city incorporated governments. Yeah, incorporated businesses. They're government-sanctioned businesses, incorporated city structures. They think that way down here on the fucking bottom, they can pass an ordinance that somehow is above the state constitution, is above the national constitution, is above the Declaration of Independence, is above everything and me and you, and can tell us what to do. Who the fuck does people in the city think they are? Fucking ridiculous dickheads, right? Like the city and county of San Francisco. The city of San Francisco is so big it fills the whole county. The city and county of San Francisco thought that they could tell people with concealed weapons permits that they're not allowed to carry their weapons in San Francisco. Sorry, that wasn't the case. I packed heat anytime I went to San Francisco because you never know when one of these radical Utes, Antifa, BLM, gangs, LGBTQIA people are a big threat these days, right? You never know when they're going to come and get you or get someone else. It is a challenge, though, folks. Understand, we are going to go through some big SHTF, Mad Max changes in the next couple of years. And you and I, we need to be the spearhead, folks, the point that continually tells government, you don't have a right to tell us what to do. The Constitution restricts you and charges you with very specific duties. And those duties do not include telling us what to do. Anyways, I feel like I'm lecturing a little. Fucking jerk offs. All right, let's do this. Let's have some more fun with your questions, thoughts, comments. What do you want to talk about? What's on your mind? Get it, your questions down below. And Ooman, we'll put them up on the screen. Let's see. We got Ooman here. I got a black screen. He may just. He may just be on there. Let's see. Let's have some funny of this one. Some fun here. Rock Valley Ready comes out and says, hey, it's funny that the coexist sign shows only 2 genders. That's right. In the word, coexist. Let's see. I think the O is the woman symbol with an O and the little plus underneath it. And then the men's symbol has the boner arrow coming out the top. Yeah, it's kind of funny. They're gonna have to remake that, aren't they? How many fucking weirdo LGB fruitcake, salad shooting, salad tossing felchers? How many genders do they have now? Look, the other day, 2 days ago, I saw an article that said that they have even more genders and names for things they've discovered. They've discovered it. Isn't this fucking fascinating? Mr. Rock Valley Radio, isn't it fascinating that human beings have been around for thousands of years? Well, scientific consensus has established that human beings have been around since at least 10,500 BC, with Göbekli Tepe being the oldest thing. And it wasn't until about 2020 that we discovered another 50 to 100 genders exist on this fucking planet. Before that, we relied on our eyes and our brains to tell us boys have penises, girls have vaginas. Right? See, penis, it's up. Vagina, that's a V shape there. Yeah, it's some crazy shit there, Rock Valley. I'm telling you. All righty, let's do this. Let's go with Badass Diving Frog. He wanted to step back in, and he says this, and Uman is back, but he's behind the scenes today. Diving Frog says, bikers don't generally help anyone unless you mess with one of their own, right? Like their family and friends, other gang members. Now you're talking about stomping. And bikers love stomping. If you want to call it stomping, call it stomping. Believe it or not, folks, bikers just want to be left alone. Bikers, many of them are very patriotic. Now, some of them commit, shall we say, criminal activities. Drugs, prostitution, shall we say, dirty deeds done dirt cheap. Not really dirt cheap anymore. But for the most part, they're decent people, believe it or not. Talk to them. Fucking bikers are good to talk to. I talked to one again the other day, met him. It was fucking raining down here in Florida. He pulled his bike over, let the rainstorm pass. Nice fella. Bikers don't like to see injustice. Now, they won't go out of their way until they really get pissed off, kind of like they did. And again, I'll refer to Bethel, Ohio, when BLM decided they were going to come to town and destroy that little town, a little rural conservative community that had a left-wing teaching bitch raise a bunch of stink in her town of Bethel at the school and got the attention of BLM and Antifa, who then said they were going to come and tear that town up. So the bikers in the area said, no, you don't. You're not going to do that because we live there. Our friends live there. Our families live there. And I'm glad. I hope that this stomping thing is exactly what they want to do. Go stomp the living shit out of these foreigners. Remember, folks, America, the United States of America, our nation, our 50 sovereign states that exist within the Federation of the United States of America, they love their country. They love their freedoms. Now, we call them outlaw bikers when they're outlaws, truly, because they don't like all the regulation, all the in-your-face control, taxation, etc. Can't say I don't agree with their philosophy there. Right? I have a lot more in common with bikers than I do with government officials, elected officials, bureaucrats. I have a lot more in common with bikers. Want to be left alone? Want to do what they want as long as they're not hurting anyone else? They'll take care of their own business. They'll solve their own problems. They don't need the police. They don't need lawyers. They don't need judges. I'm not advocating for illegal activity, folks. I'm advocating for lawful activity and lawful restraint of government. Anyways, I am going to closely monitor and watch this. Like I said, I know what I'll do in my town, in my general area, the 10-mile radius around me. I know what I'll do in the event that these jackasses get out of hand here. I'm glad to hear that bikers just might be actually saying, you know what? If it's going to happen in Aurora, Colorado, if it's going to happen in Chicago, if it's going to happen in Dallas, Texas, then it's going to happen in my neighborhood eventually. So I may as well choose the time, place, and manner in which I confront the enemy and go stomp their livers out. So, yep, we'll see, Mr. Diving Frog. We'll see. All right, Uman, if you're back and you want to take over the questioneering, I'll let you. All righty. I'm done with the stomping comment, and we're moving on to Mikey G. And he says, people in war zones get killed for flagging with a rifle or pistol. I've never liked this term flagging. I really don't like it any more than the term brandishing. Right? Flagging, showing it, right? Showing your piece. People in war zones can get killed for that. Now, if you're walking down a trail in the forest with your rifle or a sidearm that you're wearing non-concealed, people kind of expect that. Hey, it's the forest. People hunt. It's the forest. People need to protect themselves. They carry weapons. But if you're walking down the street, say in an unincorporated town, and you're carrying a rifle over your shoulder and it's not illegal, people aren't going to care too much. If you're in an area that, well, you've got open carry, people are used to it. They see it. You're not drawing attention to yourself, and you're not using it in a threatening manner. But if you are carrying a concealed weapon and you want to make a point with somebody and you decide you're going to brandish it or flag it or whatever, you're going to get attention. I can see how in a war zone, right, someone wants to square off, mad dog you, show you their weapon. Yeah, someone's going to get in trouble. I get it. I understand it. But there is this saying out here, Mikey, and I think you know it well, that firearms, guns, make for quiet, safe, and friendly neighborhoods. I also know that the Wild West wasn't as wild as they say it was. The Wild West was relatively calm because everyone had weapons. Because, hey, during the Wild West, you could be attacked by a bear, fucking moose, elk, crazed white person, crazed ex-slave, crazed slave, crazed Mexican, crazed Native American, crazed anybody. So, yeah, you had to have a weapon, and hey, business got taken care of. There was no concern. The sheriff did not show up and say, why did you have to shoot that guy over there? I'm hauling you to jail while we do an investigation. And be like, sorry, sheriff, you can stop right there. That man attacked me. Dead men tell no tales, but he fucking drew down on me. You can go find out who it is. It's Billy Bob. You know he's a dickhead, right? You know he's a criminal. You know he's always a problem. Well, he finally went too far, and I had to protect myself. I'll not be arrested today. Thank you very much. So, yeah, being a porcupine, carrying openly, in SHTF, people will be carrying openly, folks. They won't be carrying their rifle slinged. It'll be at the ready. That doesn't necessarily mean you're asking for trouble. It means you need to protect yourself. It's going to be a weird world, folks. We're going to have to learn the rules, or rather relearn the rules as we go. Are you prepared for that? It's a good question. Are you prepared for that? All right. Thank you, Mikey G. Mr. Uman, if you're there, where do we want to roll next? And it'll be Chin Music, and he's back. He says, John, the gang pulled their shit a little east of downtown Dallas. So, East Dallas is kind of like, East LA? East Dallas, the Venezuelan gang got out of hand. Chin Music continues. They get west near Fort Worth, and it won't go so well. Well, I'm pretty sure the gangs are going to feel out America. They've been here for, 3.5 years under Kamala Harris? The borders are. Kamala Harris, the presidential candidate who hasn't done a fucking thing to protect this border. The gangs have figured out where the softies are, and they figured out where the hardcore Americans are, and I have no doubt. I don't think they're retarded. I just think they're fucking criminals. So I kind of expect that. But it is now showtime. They're going to start needing to protect themselves because Trump is heading to office. You and I are getting sick of their shit. They're being told they're going to get deported. They're putting down their roots. They're staking out their territory. They're figuring out what they're going to get away with. And folks, I think it ought to be hunting season. I really think it ought to be hunting season. I expect in the great state of Florida that the hillbillies, the hicks, the swamp billies, they've actually got little hills in Florida, folks. They're cute. The swamp billies, hillbillies, hicks, rednecks, they're going to have little caricatures of people on the side of their vehicles. Kind of like the old pilots. They used to put down, the number of planes they shot down, right? Japanese heroes, shall we say, German Fokkers, Messerschmitts, right? They would put those on the side of the plane to say, this is how many I got, right? So, in America, it could have its own little symbols for these people. It's going to be a shit show, and it won't go so well. People who are pacifists, people who are nonviolent, people who are idiots, they're going to be taken by surprise. You don't have to be a violent patriot. You don't have to be a veteran to understand that self-defense is going to become, very, very necessary. Shit. And I just Dr. Seussed us. Sorry about that. Thank you very much, Mr. Chin. We've got 6 minutes left, Mr. Uman. Have we got some more things to talk about? And we do. We have Bioxo77 checking in. And he has a statement. The incident at the school is making less sense and adding up worse than Common Core math. Yeah. The Department of Education at the federal level needs to be dismantled and removed. Stop taxing states and then saying, we'll give you your money back if you do what we say. Fucking Americans are retarded. I want government freebies and handouts, so I'm voting Democrat to get more freebies and handouts. Dumbass, you're giving your money to the government, who then turns around and gives it back to you, minus their salary. It's not a good deal. Getting your own money back by obeying them. Fuck you, DC. Anyways, let's do this. The incident at the school is making less and less and less sense. Most of these left-wing things don't make any sense at all. Kind of like the fruitcake, transgender, murderous, mass murderous, child murdering, perverted freak who killed those children at the Christian school in, I think it was Louisville. Right? They just now finally released the entire, they claim they released it all, manifesto. And they don't make a lick of sense. What's important to them is that they wish they had a penis, or if they're a guy, they wish they cut their penis off. They hate themselves. Folks, that's what self-mutilation is about. Dig into your... Yes. Yes, will do, man. Self-loathing, self-hatred. People that mutilate themselves are full of self-hatred. Go to your Psychology 101, Psychology 102 books. Check it out. Even people who just cut on themselves, there's a psychological problem there. So if you need to, or feel the need to hurt yourself, cut off your genitals, change your gender, change everything about you, it's because you hate yourself. Very crazy stuff out there, folks. Crazy, crazy stuff. All right. This is what I would like to do, though. It's the end of the show. And as usual, I would like to see if we got some breaking news that has occurred since the show started. Let's see what's going on out there. Uh-oh. Here we have a couple of things. The Department of Justice has indicted 5 Russian GRU officers and a civilian for hacking into the Ukrainian critical infrastructure and the U.S. federal systems. And this is the quote: "They're not advanced cyber masterminds." Well, the Department of Justice, when you indict Russian GRU officers, they don't turn themselves in. GRU is the Russian version of the CIA. And a Russian civilian has been indicted. I don't think that person's going to turn themselves in either. Nope. So they hacked into Ukraine. Isn't Ukraine fighting Russia? Isn't Ukraine killing Russian citizens inside the former Ukraine territories, as well as inside of Russian territory? I don't think the GRU gives a flying fuck about the Ukraine government or the United States, Washington, D.C. Department of Justice. In fact, I would put money on that. Very interesting. We'll see how this goes. Of course, let me say this. The United States government has been looking for an excuse to continue to increase the violence that their proxy puppet, Zelensky, and his Nazi army of Ukraine are wanting and willing to do. They are. They're trying to increase that. Now, one last thing. Biden completely just starts bumbling off. And he admitted in his speech that, quote, the Inflation Reduction Act was acted as Green New Deal. And he said this, here's his quote: "We should have named it what it was." Well, if they called it the Green New Deal, which they tried selling it as, it was completely, absolutely, totally rejected. But the Inflation Reduction Act, didn't that get maggot Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, the so-called Republican? Didn't he get behind that? Am I wrong? If I'm wrong, someone correct me, please. I don't want to be wrong about stuff. But the Inflation Reduction Act didn't reduce inflation. And Joe Biden is stupid enough to say that was actually the Green New Deal with a different name. Kind of like Democrats, the Democrat Party, that's just a name. They're actually communists. They're commu-fascists now. That's right, commu-fascists. And it's not going to get better, folks. It's not going to get better. This is who they are. Take them at their word, folks. Get prepared, because chance favors the prepared mind is yours. Oh, Semper Fi and Godspeed.